Republicans are now showing signs of life. Maybe they are releasing their new commitment to America. Representative McCarthy, the House leader, publishing a new plan for America in the run-up to the 2022 elections. Now, there is some interestingness to this. Of course, we're going to see the repeal of IRS agents that were just passed by the Biden administration. And we're going to learn a little bit more about what the plan says, along with reaction from the White House, Karine Jean Pierre. And there was some video of Pelosi also being welcomed by the people there in New York. And so we're going to get into all of it. But before we dive into the meat and potatoes on the plan, let's take a listen to Representative McCarthy. McCarthy is here on the unveiling. They had an event where they gathered everybody together. You can see some faces that we are familiar with in the background. And that's Marjorie Taylor Greene right there to McCarthy's left. And here he is unveiling this plan to America, hoping that this might juice some enthusiasm for the Republicans in the months leading up to the election.
Our job is to work for you, not go after you. Our job is to make America stronger. We believe America's more than a country. America's an idea.
Yeah, okay. Sounds
good. We
can
secure our border.
Okay, great.
We could become energy independent.
Perfect.
Where your price of gas is lower.
Great.
We can build an education system that has a parent's bill of rights, that you have a say in your kids' education. And we could be a check and balance on the reign in this government that's going after the individuals.
Marjorie.
If you believe like us, join with us. Because this job won't be easy. We'll get it through the House. We need your help to get it all the way to his desk. You know, the president last night already attacked me in this plan. Maybe if I caused that much damage, I'd try to change the discussion too. But you know what? I welcome it. I challenge the president to join with us. Let's go across the country and let's debate what his policies has done to America and our plan for a new direction. And let's let America make the decision for the best way for this country to go forward. So join with us, and thank you for what you're doing.
Okay, so that's the Republican leader. We're going to get into the plan. I'm not sure that there's going to be much meat and potatoes there, but he said some interesting things, like a parental bill of rights for education and the children. Very interesting. And we will, of course, go through the plan. So that's Representative McCarthy with his little speech. All right. Let's take a look now at the actual commitment. This is the preamble for the Republican commitment to America just released by Representative McCarthy. Here's what he says. America is exceptional. As Americans, we cherish our rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We salute those who paid the ultimate sacrifice in the defense of our freedoms. We celebrate the rich heritage of America, the story and the vibrancy of the dreams of America, and we embrace the responsibility to protect and uphold the nation. Oh my God, the shining beacon of hope, right? Okay, thank you for this. We're not going to allow a new direction. A better approach is going to get our nation back on track. Because Americans are workers, we commit to remove. All right, look, I'm not even going to read this. All right, it's just a bunch of word salad vomit. The extreme ideology of this Democrat majority blinds them. Yeah, all right. So there's nothing interesting or useful there at all. Let's see what we have here. This is their one-pager commitment to America. Republicans unveiling this in hopes of winning the next elections. Here are some bullet points that they say they're going to do if you vote them into power. 1, an economy that's strong. They're going to fight inflation and they're going to lower the cost of living. How are they going to do this? Well, they're going to curb wasteful government spending. Sounds good. And they're saying that's rising the price of gas and other things, growing our national debt. All right. They're going to increase take-home pay, create good paying jobs, and bring stability to the economy through pro-growth tax and deregulatory policies. They're going to make America energy independent, maximize reduction of American-made energy. Okay, that's good. Strengthen the supply chain and end dependence on China. All right. Now, this is something I've been listening to them say for about 37 years of my life now. Secure the border and combat illegal immigration. So just forget this, right? This is all not going to happen at all. They say that they're going to fully fund effective border enforcement strategies, infrastructure, and advanced technology, and they're going to end catch and release, and they're going to require legal status to get a job. Okay, so just disregard this whole stinking thing, right? This is all nonsense. That's obviously not going to happen. They've been promising that for decades. Never going to happen. Reduce crime and protect public safety. Now, this is going to be a big issue. Even Jen Psaki is saying this is going to be a big problem. Support 200,000 more police officers. The Democrats are getting blown out on public safety issues, especially for the defund the police saga that they dragged America through. But they're saying they're going to crack down on prosecutors and district attorneys who refuse to prosecute crimes. And then they're going to support 200,000 more police officers. So, recruiting bonuses and stopping defunding the police. And so put a pin in that. We're going to come back on that one. They're also going to defend America's national security. Okay, so what are they here? They're going to establish a select committee on China. Well, hopefully it has more legitimacy than the current fake select committee. A future that's built on freedom. Every student can succeed and give parents a voice. So they want a parent's bill of rights, which is actually something new and something that is concrete that I see here. First time that we see something. A parental bill of rights, expanding parental choice to schools, defending fairness by ensuring that only women can compete in women's sports. Ooh, that's a spicy one. We have achieve longer, healthier lives for Americans. So the government's not going to ever be able to do that. So forget that. Confront big tech and demand fairness. Also forget that. That's also never going to happen. So just forget that one too. A government that's accountable. Let's see here. Preserve our constitutional freedoms. I doubt that as well. So forget about that. They haven't done anything on free speech. Hold Washington accountable. They are Washington. So forget that. And restore the people's votes. Here, let's see what this one says. End special treatment for members of Congress by repealing proxy voting. Increase accountability in the election process through voter ID. Would be nice. Accurate voter rolls and observer access. And so Joe Biden also is going to beat up on McCarthy for this one as well, saying that they're going to be increasing the faith in our elections. The Republicans are going to do that. That doesn't make any sense at all, says Joe Biden. Of course, we will take a look at that here. So this is the plan that the Republicans are rolling out. I don't see anything really new or interesting at all. I see a bunch of the same old talking points that we've seen previously. And so, not really optimistic about that. Thanks, McCarthy, but no thanks. He, of course, is out there with one good point on this whole thing. They are going to, on day one, apparently, McCarthy says, repeal the IRS agents. On day one, when the Republicans take over, if they win the elections, those 87,000 IRS agents that Biden wants to cram down your gullet, McCarthy says they're gone.
But this is a fight not for the Republican Party. This is a fight for our nation. If you want an economy that's strong, if you want a nation that's safe again in your streets, if you want a future that's built on freedom, and if you want to have some accountability to your government, this is what's going to happen. And Sean, I promise you this, on the very first day, our very first bill is going to repeal 87,000 IRS agents. Because you know what? We work for you, and it's not the other way around.
That would be very nice. Nobody wants 87,000 IRS agents. But McCarthy, unless they have the Senate, right, what happens? Well, it's going to go from the House over to the Senate. Even if it goes to the Senate, it's going to go over to Biden. And what's Biden going to do? Throw it right in the garbage. So thank you, McCarthy, for those nice promises. But we all know that, basically at most you can do at this point is just to stonewall and make the president a lame duck. Actually, I guess, yeah, because the House has the power of the purse, but hasn't that bill already been passed and signed into law by Biden? He's not going to sign a bill undoing that. So it's going to take some time for anything meaningful to come out of it. But that is Kevin McCarthy, who is communicating that the Republicans are at least going to make an attempt to repeal and pull back those 87,000 IRS agents. Joe Biden also responding to Kevin McCarthy and the Republican commitment to America. And there's something interesting going on here. Joe Biden, he's usually pretty tied and tethered to that teleprompter. And he's standing in front of a podium with microphones, and he's got a microphone in his hand. And you go, well, that's kind of weird. Why is he standing in front of a microphone with microphones and he's got a microphone in his hand? He does this a lot when he picks up a microphone and he sort of wants to talk and walk, just like we do on our morning walk and talks. And Joe Biden is out there now speaking in front of a crowd, and he's reading the teleprompter. And watch his eyeballs as he is walking back and forth, pacing across the stage. He cannot let go off the teleprompter. So he's sort of faking like he has this ad-lib conversation going on with the crowd. But watch every time he turns right back to that teleprompter and he reads right to it. Let's watch.
With a straight face, Kevin McCarthy says the MAGA Republic are going to restore faith in our elections. As we say in my faith, bless me, Father, for I have sinned.
Hey, watch. Right back to it.
Restore faith in our elections. MAGA Republicans refused to accept the results of the 2020 election and the will of the people. 81 million people voted Democrat for president last time. Even though they lost court case after court case
now
after
right
court
back
case
over to
after
the
court
teleprompter.
case after court case.
Look. See that quick turn?
In front of Trump-appointed judges. And recount after recount proved the results were accurate.
So that's Joe. Now, again, very interesting little new tactic they're trying out with him. You don't see that a whole lot. And so he's got the double microphone. We covered previously on this show. Remember after he gave that MAGA death speech from the seventh circle of hell, after he walked out, they shut the mics off. He came back, picked up the other mic, tried to talk into it, but that mic was off too. And then his caretaker, Jill, escorted him back into the seventh circle. So it's interesting to watch. But what was he saying there? What was his point? Oh, yeah, about the election and saying that the Republicans are now going to be sort of, it's like a joke that they're going to be fortifying elections, that they're going to want to make sure that there aren't problems by clearing out problematic voter rolls, by having voter ID, by making sure that the integrity of the voting system is appropriate. They're laughing at that because, of course, that's not what they want. They want everybody to vote however often they want to vote. They can use 35 pronouns, vote 35 times, depending on how they're feeling. And it's just madness. It's free for all. But that is what Biden said about the commitment to America, which is inclusive of some Republican efforts to harden up the elections a little bit. Karine Jean Pierre got some hard questions from Peter Doocy. Over at the White House, she was responding to the commitment to America put forward by the Republicans. A big part of the plan is to address crime. We can see crime waves taking place in cities all over the country. And so Peter Doocy from Fox News went in to the press briefing room with Karine Jean Pierre and said, hey, Karine, you've got a little bit of a crime problem, don't you? What do you think this administration is doing to solve this? Are you making any progress that is meaningful in any way, shape, or form? Here is Doocy.
Does President Biden think America's big cities are safe?
Can you say more?
Well, we know that thefts and robberies are up about 20% in the first half of this year, so I'm wondering if he thinks America's big cities are safe.
Are you talking about the New York Times story specifically? Or is that what you're referring to?
The murder rate's still 30% above its 2019 level. They're all from the Council on Criminal Justice. So we've seen some high-profile examples of this. The Washington Commanders running back was being mugged. He got shot. Karen Bass, member of Congress, had her house robbed. These are high-profile people. So should everyday Americans who are not in the public eye feel safe?
So
it's not just the little people, Karine, who are dealing with crime waves in drug-addicted cities all over the place. It's also Congress people like Karen Bass, who had her house robbed.
I'll say this, that same story also stated that the crime is complicated and multifaceted.
Okay.
Look, this is a president who has secured historic funding to make sure that law enforcement has what it needs, especially, and he was able to do this in the face of opposition from Republicans. During
Republicans
a time,
did it.
Where he inherited a rising crime rate from the previous administration, the president put forth the American Rescue Plan, and in that very plan, there was more than $300 billion to go to local states and local cities to make sure that they were able to hire law officers. They were able to hire, firefighters. They were able to hire people that were critical to their needs as they were dealing with a pandemic. Republicans voted against that.
So I guess
Republicans
the
blew
original
it.
question, does President Biden think America's big cities are safe?
It is not a yes or no question. It is very much a question of what has he done? That's how we see the question, is what has he done?
Are the cities safe? Yes or no? Karine Jean Pierre says it's not a yes or no question. And that's not a good answer for the press secretary from the White House. The obvious answer is, of course, the cities are safe. Of course they're safe. Everywhere they're safe. Yes, American men and women and whatever can sleep soundly at night without any fear because Joe Biden's in charge. And here's the things he's done. Here's the things that he's already doing. But for Karine to turn around and say, well, we can't really say yes or no on, are you safe in your city? Not good look.
Does President Biden think America's big cities are safe?
It is not a yes or no question.
Rough.
It is very much a question of what has he done? That's how we see the question, is what has he done?
First of all, they also don't even care about results. Did you catch that? It's not about results. It's not about whether America is safe or not. It's not about whether you're going to get mugged if you're a congressperson or had your house robbed if you're whatever. It's about what they've done. They've tried a lot. They've really thought a lot about it. They care a lot. I mean, they talk a lot about it. They pass bills and stuff, and they sit around in conference rooms and they yell at each other about it, and they post websites, and they're on Twitter all day. And that's what is really most important, Peter, idiot. And so the fact that there are murders taking place all over the country is irrelevant. We've tried really hard. All right. Well, we know that that's sort of how they operate and conduct themselves. It's about feelings. It's about emotions. It's about how one comports themselves that is the true value, I guess, in the world, not about the results that they deliver. And so Jen Psaki, who we're very familiar with, it's been some time since we've had a Jen Psaki appearance. Jen Psaki is trying on her new gig over on the cable channels. Here she is on Meet the Press, and she's doing some commentary on the upcoming election. And she knows a little bit about the Biden White House because she used to work in it, maybe even run it. Here's Jen talking about crime and about how this could be a pretty big problem for the Democrats come November.
Yeah, I think that Democrats, if the election is about who is the most extreme, as we saw, Kevin McCarthy touch on there with Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'll say her name, sitting over his left side, then they're going to win. If it is a referendum on the president, they will lose, and they know that. They also know that crime is a huge vulnerability for Democrats. I would say one of the biggest vulnerabilities.
Yikes.
And if you look at Pennsylvania, for example, what's been interesting to me is it's always you follow the money and where are people spending money. And in Pennsylvania, the Republicans have been spending millions of dollars on the air on crime ads against Fetterman because that's where they see his vulnerability. So yes, the economy is hanging over everything, but you do have to look at state-by-state factors, and crime is a huge issue in the Pennsylvania race.
Wow, Jen Psaki out there. What did they used to call those when she would hit Peter Doocy with them Psaki bombs or something like that? Well, how does it feel when they're Psaki bombing you right back at your own White House? Probably doesn't feel too good. Saying that, Jen, you just left, by the way. It's kind of rude of you to talk garbage about the administration that you were just a part of. She's like, yeah, crime's a pretty big vulnerability. Like a year ago, she was like, no, crime's great. Crime's great. There's no problems at all. What are you talking about? And now she's like, yeah, it's a pretty big vulnerability. So it's kind of funny how quickly that hat changes from White House sycophant to MSNBC, NBC, whatever this is, commentator sitting at a round table with other sophistication people. So that's now pretty big, pretty interesting statement there. Yeah, criminal mismanagement is a gigantic problem in the upcoming election. And Peter Doocy asked Karine Jean Pierre about that. At the White House, he says, hey, Karine, your former boss, somebody who was sort of, here before you, who was holding down the fort before you actually landed in this position. Jen Psaki said that crime is going to be a pretty big issue for you, your team, and your people in the upcoming election. Do you agree with that, yes or no?
Jen Psaki says that crime is a huge vulnerability for Democrats. Why would she say that?
So, again, I can't do electoral politics from here, as you know.
You can't?
But
you
I kind of
every day.
I don't agree with your characterization of what she actually said.
They also know that crime is a huge vulnerability for Democrats. I would say one of the biggest vulnerabilities.
Oh, well, there it is. So let's say that once again. side by side, because it does seem that Peter Doocy got her statement exactly right. Let's listen.
They also know that crime is a huge vulnerability for Democrats. I would say one of the biggest vulnerabilities.
Jen Psaki says that crime is a huge vulnerability for
verbatim.
Democrats. Why would she say
verbatim?
I don't agree with your characterization of what she actually said.
Well, that's okay, because that is exactly what she actually said. So that's okay, Karine. You don't have to agree. But it's the reality. And that is the reaction from the White House. Meanwhile, Nancy Pelosi is out there in New York City, and she's trying to be hip. She's trying to hang out with all the cool kids and get out there and talk about climate change or 40 years in government, or I don't know. But she gets booed in front of all these people that are supposed to love her. I mean, she's in New York, after all. They vote blue very reliably. Why is there no love for the Speaker of the House, Nancy?
40% by 2030, it will give a historic 370.
Historic, she's talking about who knows what. There's another clip here, another angle of Pelosi being booed in New York City. Here she is, and somebody asks in this one, why are they booing her? Everybody just wants to get back to the show. Nobody wants to listen to a climate change lecture from Nancy Pelosi.
I couldn't talk.
As Speaker of the House, I am here to thank you for your dedication.
Nancy Pelosi.
Why
is everybody booing?
Nobody likes her. Get out of here. We want to get back to the show. Nancy Pelosi feeling the wrath of the New York crowd when she's trying to shove climate change and something, whatever else, down everybody's gullet. And so we'll, of course, continue to cover the Republican commitment to America. We'll see if the Republicans get any life breathed into them, if Cocaine Mitch gets a little, sniffly activity and brings anything new to the table in terms of electoral politics. We'll continue to cover. And we appreciate you following and joining us as we do.